Is my perspective. Yeah, yo, am I wrong or is it just you? Or did my life show me some things that gave me my view? And if I went through what you went through, would I be you? I don't know. That's too many questions with no answer, but plenty chances for many lessons. Am I willing to learn that it's all perception? That the picture that I paint ain't the one that you sketching? So can we disagree without drawing a weapon? Long as I can understand that it's just your perspective. Yeah, it's my perspective. Yeah, from my perspective.
What's up, y'all? Happy Friday, good people. If it's Friday, that means you hanging with us. What's up, crew?
What's going on?
What's going on?
See you guys. Look, we got the usual cast of characters. Only this time we got my brother Uncle Cat in the building. Uncle Cat, say something to him.
Yo, what's up, y'all? Y'all aren't you happy to have me?
Hi, good.
Bless, man. Look,
Just
it's
kidding.
a privilege. He normally in the background, but we got him out front today, y'all. This supposed to be a special night. Y'all ready?
We ready?
Absolutely. Yes.
So, they showing impersonation, right? And I was doing a little research, and I noticed that look, I was doing my research, y'all.
I heard you research according to.
And look, in that research, I was reading that the numbers, the statistics on marriage, like marriage was lower, and divorce was lower, probably because ain't as many people getting married. And it just put a whole lot of thoughts in my mind about the necessity of it. I don't know, all kinds of stuff, man. So I said, let's talk about that tonight. So anybody that want to chime in first, man, what's your thoughts on marriage and this necessity? Olivia, you look like you rap. Go ahead, jump on in there, baby girl.
Waiting for you to stop talking.
I don't think marriage is necessary. I mean, if you love someone, they love you, and you're happy together, you want to get married, go for it. That is you. But personally, I don't think it's needed. Like, I don't need to get married. I'll be fine on my own. I mean, that's just how I see it. I'm 17. I'm not even thinking about it. But in 5 years, I don't even see me again.
As you should. As you should.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that right now.
Not right now.
You have things to deal with.
I might be 30 and might not be still married. I don't care.
That's
Right.
We
It's
love an
definitely changed over the
independent female.
years. Go ahead, Dad.
I said we love an independent female.
Elaborate on
Yes,
that.
we do.
I mean, that may be one of the reasons that I assumed that the numbers were going down in terms of necessity. Historically speaking, you know, the women would get married basically for protection, financially and otherwise, because they weren't working as much. And so now with women in the workforce at a crazy high number and all of that kind of stuff, what do you think, Dad? You think that may be what contributed to it?
Well, as far as like, I didn't do no research, I would be honest with y'all, but I do know like a little bit of history of how the only reason that it was marriage is because like basically like the woman was being not sold, but she was being given away in exchange for something. So, and I mean, this was obviously before women were getting married for, I guess, financial stability, but also I don't know if that's a fact or something, but I don't,
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't really like the sound of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, you think about the king and queen era, like, you know, medieval times, but even before that, a lot of like Romeo and Juliet, Shakespeare era, you know, that was really what marriage was. It was the father of a family giving their daughter to the son of another family who they had a good relationship with the father of that family. So it was really a trade-off. It had nothing to do with the woman's decision at all.
Yep.
And so it did eventually become like what Farad said. It was because women didn't have really enough rights to go out and get a job where they could financially support themselves. And so at that time, it was something that was a sense of protection.
Do you think that contributes to the numbers getting lower and lower, Hunter?
It might. I mean, there's so many different intricacies with something like this that there's really no telling exactly what it is, but it very well could be. It could also just be, you know, people, everyone, not just women, men and women, everybody are kind of as a whole seemingly financially less stable at kind of as you age. You know, at 25, say 20 years ago, people tended to be a little more financially stable than a lot of 25-year-olds today are. And so that may be another concern because a lot of people don't want to get married until they, you know, feel like they can support a family, you know. And so that may be another.
Do I raise my hand? This is my
No,
first
just
time.
jump on it. Jump on it.
Just jump in.
I just didn't know.
The courtesy and all that, but just jump in, man.
All right, just jump in. I honestly think marriage depends on the culture of the people, right? Because it's different all across the board, right? We're in America, so we want to talk about marriage in America. Yeah, like all this, independence and all this, whatever. But if we go to Africa, right, or certain countries in Africa, it's totally different, right? Men have 4 wives and they're completely happy. While we're from the outside looking in, we might say, oh, they got to share a man, this, that, and the third, when they have a whole different perspective of marriage and how the household is ran. So you know what I mean? So, and like the whole independence thing, what independence really mean, y'all, is being by yourself. So nobody really wants to be by yourself. Nobody really wants to be alone. Stop saying that you want to be independent. I'm independent. No, I need a woman. A woman needs
Let
a
me
man.
ask you this, man. I was just going to ask. So with the wording of the question, is it necessary? Your answer would be yes.
Yes. For personal happiness, yes, because we all want somebody. Stop acting like you don't want nobody and you don't want to be with nobody as you get older. As we're younger now, the group now, majority is younger now. We might not want to settle down and all these different types of things, but think about it. You 40.
So Kat, you saying that you can't be independent and in a relationship? Can't you be both independent and in a relationship? Because you don't want to lose your independence and individuality.
You can't be wholly independent.
Independence sounds to me like alone and being by yourself and doing things by yourself, right? We know, Tila, to get further, you need people. Like you need people. You can't go far by yourself. You can't.
I'm just thinking it's a different
word
word
by yourself, but you can't go far.
You can have
What word would you put on
village, but the independence is different. You can be independent and have your own mind.
Yes.
You can't be independent.
No, I'm saying independence as in like love. You can love yourself, but as far as receiving love, yes, you can have kids. Kids are going to love you unconditionally. But I'm saying love, the real like love, me love in a woman. Like that's something that's rare. And then once I have it, I can't say, I can get this love from myself. I can't get love from a woman from myself. I need it from her. You know what I mean?
How you feel about the question then?
Say it again.
I was asking Tila how she felt about the question itself then.
It just depends. It's a very individual thing. I think, like you were saying, back in the day, it was totally different. So when you talk about independence, like Kat was saying, people feel like women get too independent and they don't need a man. But need is different than a want, right? So you might want someone in your life to share your life with, but you don't need them per se, because things that you can do on your own, you can also do together. So I think people get a misunderstanding of what that means, because for myself, when I go look at a marriage certificate, it's as if the woman is property, and I'm no one's property. Because it's almost, if you take the certificate and use it as a person who's going to buy a horse, it says the same exact terms in that certificate for marriage. And I feel like things are different. So people's mindsets, depending on how they feel about it, is going to be different. It's necessary for some people. It may not be necessary for others, because everybody's terminology for marriage and why they need marriage is different. Some people get married for love. Some people get married for stability. People get married for finances. People get married for social status. So it just depends. For me, I just feel like wherever your heart lies, if that's where you feel safe, you go where you feel where you need to go.
So for me,
ultimately, whatever makes you happy. Yeah. That's the main goal in your life. So whatever makes you the happiest, that's what you should do. If you feel like you're just going to feel tied down or anything like that, if you get married, then that's probably not going to make you happy for the rest.
Exactly.
I feel like if you get married, ultimately anything other than love and like, the what do you call it? Courtship. What is it called? Like, what is it called? You know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, just love. If you get married other than any reason than love and loving somebody for the rest of your life, then it's for the wrong reason, and it's not going to be good. I don't think nobody's happy. You know what I mean?
And I think that's where it lies, is people marry for the wrong reasons. You know what I'm saying? Marry for the right reason, that means it's going to be okay.
I've seen, and I would never say that somebody's in the right marriage or anything just because it works or it lasts, man. But I've seen some people marry for those alternative reasons, and they're just as content with the way things are. I marry you for your money, and I'm still comfortable enjoying your money. They stay married. You know what I mean? They make it work. And so I don't know. I'm one that felt like feels personally like it's necessary just because I know my situation. This is a question. I am married, you know, so this is a question that I can't answer no more from my single mindset. And I feel like this is more for me more spiritual than anything. It's not just something that I chose to do. This was something that was right. This was something that was created for me long before I was even here. And so for me, when even I'll even answer it, you know, strongly as the question worded it, is it necessary for me in order to live the life that I was purposed to live? Absolutely, it was necessary. And I think anybody that will approach it from that perspective, yeah, you ain't got no choice but to say yeah. But if we're talking about the reasons people get married and you know why you're doing it and who's doing it, yeah, then we can have all these other answers, man. We all over the place. Hey, Sean, let me hear from you, brother. You quiet today. You ain't do no research.
Oh, oh, I'm just listening because it was so much said. I feel my point of view of marriage. I think the greatest thing is love. At the end of the day, when you love that person, you don't care what you go through. You know, if we in this for the right reason, then at the end of the day, that's what's going to be. It's going to be the two of us. And one thing I learned about marriage, when it's the two of us, we become one. So everything changes. It's not about you, it's not about me, it's about us. So, you know, that's how I look at marriage. You know, it's about each other. And then when you have your kids or your baby girl or your baby boy, you know, then we are a family. So, you know, I look at marriage as a love thing, you know, because at the end of the day, it is about love. You know, yes, we might have like he said, we might have somebody that get married because your finances, or you know, I'm marrying him because you know he good looking or she good looking, whatever like that. But at the end of the day, I feel like the foundation of marriage should be about love.
So let me ask you, because you went to the two become one thing, right? So what's your take on that whole independent spill we just went on? I think before I started talking.
I feel like, and I believe you're talking about when it comes to financial stuff, correct?
In general, just answer how you
Generally. Okay. Well, I feel like when it comes to independent, I feel like it is it's both parts. You bring your stuff together. Let's bring it together. I feel like that's where that oneness come at. You know, and sometimes in marriages it can be double standard, and that's when we need to talk.
Let's
You
talk.
know, it comes with that double standard because I'm like, you know, yes, okay, when I married you, this was my car, this was my house, you know, but at the end of the day, when we get married, well, it's our car, it's our house, it's our money, you know. And yes, like I give an example. I know somebody now that's in my family. They have a savings account, but I realized something. They have a family account. She has her account, and then we have the husband and wife account together.
So there's some
So I feel
independence
like,
in there.
yeah,
How
yeah.
you feel about
So
that, Taylor? How you feel about
I was never saying that a woman can't be independent. I was just saying that the word independence used in a certain way is like, all right, yeah, you can be independent, but at the end of the day, we still need a balance
We still
of
rely on other
one
people.
and one. You dig what I'm
It also
saying?
depends
Like,
on where you lie
don't get
personally.
me wrong. I'm saying there's my mom. I was raised by a strong, independent, what you call black woman. You know what I mean? My grandmother,
right.
she raised me, right? So I'm not saying that's not a thing. I'm just saying I seen my grandmother, right, tell me as a young boy, I don't need a man and all these things, right? But would ask me to do all the manly things around the house. She
Well,
needs
that
me.
goes back to the terminology. Like I said, need is a strong word. You
Yeah.
may need certain things, but I feel like when I tell guys, it's like, I don't need you. You ought to be happy that I want you. It's more that I want you than that I need you. Because you should want somebody that depends on you all the time and they can't do anything for themselves. That's something totally different. But that's the type of female you want. That's the type of female you want. So there's a difference when you talk about need is a strong word. Because there are things that we can do on our own. But yes, we would love for other people to do
think
them
it's
for
a
us.
strong word, but I also think that it's a really strong word when you start speaking about it that way, man. Because
Yeah, I mean, because
I'm like what Marquette said, there are some things that I will confess and say till I'm blue in the face. I need my wife or my children need their mother for. You know what I mean? And so I ain't running from that word. You know what I mean? I'm not, and it's probably a man thing that makes me not run from it, because I'm sure I keep even hearing how you guys saying a woman that needs a man, a woman needs a man, a woman don't need a man, and nobody said anything about us not needing y'all. You know, so I can see why you're approaching it the way you're approaching it, but
I see it.
I ain't running from it. You know, I know for a fact that I need my counterpart to be everything that she is, because I ain't that. You know what I mean?
Yo, shout out to Ro.
Welcome back. Yeah, that's good. We left hot, so we're gonna come back hot. Welcome
So,
back.
yeah, the big thing I'm noticing, we're talking a lot about the want and the need, but we're also talking about love. So when you truly love somebody, though, things that you may have wanted before, a lot of that becomes a need. There's this feeling in your heart that that you can't break free from it. It has to be there. You have to have it. Otherwise, you won't feel complete. So it becomes a need. So,
and can I tell you, Rafar, our host, when you was talking about your wife, that you need your wife, I agree, because your wife, it balanced the man. Actually, because certain things the men don't know. So when you got that wife, she's like that feminine side when it comes to the kids, or when the men having a bad day, that wife can balance us. Like, okay, let me go and comfort my king. Let me go and get him straight, because he all over the place because he had a bad day. So I feel like, yes, the wife needs to come in there, because it balances the man.
Talk to him, Dad.
I've had several opinions on things y'all have been saying. For example, Hunter was talking about love, right? And how eventually, like, in your heart, you feel it. I don't know if maybe I've never been in love, but to me, there's love and there's lust, and then there's attachment. So I was in a relationship. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I knew I wasn't gonna marry him. I'm young. I have a lot to live. Um, we had a good time. Great guy, whatever. But when we broke up, and I knew I was ready to get into a relationship, because I knew if he leaves me, if we break up, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Because why? I knew it was the attachment. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When you
And I
spend
think
a certain
sometimes
amount
you
of
don't
time
know
with
until a
somebody,
certain person comes into your life. When a certain person comes into your life, that's that type of, people call it a soulmate, or it's a spiritual bond. You will know, and things will feel different. But when it's a person that's just, like you said, an attachment, it's something to have fun, it's that for the moment, it's totally different. You're not thinking on those aspects. But when that person comes into your life, things will change your point of view. And like you said, the baseline is either spiritual, it's social, that soul thing that people say, this is my soulmate, which I feel like you have more than one. But love is the bottom line.
So you think you'd be able to change your verbiage when you meet that person? Be like, yeah, I need you.
I need?
No.
I mean, certain parts of you.
But I think ultimately, yeah, need. All right, if you're using, like you said, need is a strong word when you use it in this sense, right? But it's a lot of things in life that we need, and we know for a fact that we need love, and love is something that we all cannot live without. No matter how much you say you need it, or you want it, or you don't need it, or you don't want it. You dig what I'm saying? So when we talk about need in that sense, and we talk about marriage, and we talk about a long-term relationship, longevity, right? That is something that we need. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, with that person that you can see yourself being with, for a long time, right? You need their love. You just don't want their love. That if you tell me, Tila, if we were married right now, you say, yo, I just want you. I don't really need you. I'm like, so why are we even here? Like, why are we here now? Like, why are we married? Why we
There's certain things you need, certain things you want. So it depends on what's more powerful in that moment. I might need you to do certain things, but it doesn't mean I can't do it myself. So that's why I said, when people use the word need in a strong term, it's like, are you saying I need you because I can't do it myself? Not necessarily. It's because I want you to do it for me. I like when you do this for me. I like to watch you do this when you do. It's a difference when it comes to those terms.
You've been quiet up there for a minute. I need to hear what you got to say. She told us she ain't thinking about marriage, and then she disappeared on us. I got to hear it.
She's just gonna slide into the dark in a minute.
Right.
With my dark background, it's a bunch of computers. It's boring. But it's more of a personal level. Like if you yourself don't want romance, that is you. But if you're someone that does, that's you too. But like with Marquette said, you need love. Some people don't. It just depends on them.
Bro, we all do. Don't let that confuse you. Listen, I don't care
On a
if
certain level.
you straight, you're homosexual, heterosexual, pansexual, any of that things. You need love. It does not matter
So
what
you
you
saying,
like.
Mark,
It's some people don't though. Like
romantic
they
love.
just, it's
And
their
it don't have to be in marriage. It
Well,
can
I
be in
mean, you also
friendship.
got to think love
marriage.
can
Exactly.
come
There
in
you
any
go,
form.
Deshaun.
Exactly. You don't have to be married to get those things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you're right.
don't have
But
to be married to be in love. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love can
Yeah.
come from family and friends. It doesn't have to be
Right.
in marriage.
Love can
Olivia,
come from a
But
dog.
that's love.
Olivia,
You're just gonna feel alone. You're gonna shrivel down into yourself.
Olivia,
Right.
And then you can take it to a different level and say, some people say, if you be with someone for a certain amount of time, you have kids, you build things together. If one of you, God forbid, dies and leave this earth and pass away, you have nothing to stand on. So sometimes you have to think of it like that. What do you want to happen if you're no longer there as that protector, as that support system, and everything kind of shifts because now the family has more rights than you have, and you've been in that relationship for 10, 20, 30 years. Now you have no say so. So sometimes you feel like I do need to have that piece of paper, that legal document saying that, look, this is about us. This is what we have built together. So it all depends. It's a lot
I
of
don't think that piece of paper really mattered though. All that piece of
No,
paper
it
is
I
a
agree.
financial agreement between two
matters.
people in
it matters when that family comes in.
It matters. You start
It
talking.
does matter with the family, yes, because I know some people in my family that's walking through something now with that.
Yes.
And so, yes, paper
It may not
matters.
matter about
I
your
know.
love and all of that. It may not speak for your love, but it definitely matters. Like Tila said, if things don't work out,
Sure.
yeah, you put yourself in whether you
Got to have
sign
that
a paper
paper.
or get married or not, one way or another. That thing, it matters. It matters.
It matters.
We right back. Daphne, we ain't forget about you, y'all. We appreciate y'all bearing with us while we pay our sponsors and all that. Daphne, jump on in.
So I was saying like it matters because of like, you know, the government, the system, all of that stuff and like legal issues. But to me personally, like for example, my parents are married through the civil court or whatever. And to me, like a piece of paper, like I could get mad, rip it, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think that counts as being married, in my opinion. Like that's not.
No, the paper doesn't count as being married, but when it comes to legality, like if the spouse or the boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you want to call yourself, ends up in the hospital and who pulls the plug? And the parents are fighting saying, no, this is not going to happen. But then the person has been with you for 10, 20, 30 years and saying, this is what the other person wants. You haven't been with them. You haven't even spoke to them in 10 years, but because I'm the parent, I have the right to say,
Yeah.
those things do matter. And the same thing when it comes to, you can't walk up in my house that we've been building for 30 years and say, oh, this belongs to you because this is your child's. No, we built this. This is ours. So that
Right.
does make a
Which
difference.
is why I'm
when it comes to
saying,
those type of
yeah,
things.
it's
It
the
doesn't matter when it
system.
comes to how I feel about you and things like that. But when it comes to those legal issues, some people say, yes, I need this piece of paper to protect us and what we built together.
I'm
Plus, they
gonna
have copies.
move to Utah and legally I can have like 3 wives. I can go to Ghana right now and get 3 wives. We can have a whole different topic of
When you
conversation.
have all the love to give to 3 wives, that's a lot to give. You know what I mean?
I can only do one, man. You talked about all the legalities and how you got to protect yourself. What do you guys think about prenuptial agreements?
Oh, this is what I was gonna bring up earlier because I forgot who said something about like
Luca does not do.
about the wife being like a piece of property. You dig what I'm saying? Like which is it is like that in a lot of terms, right? All right, but a prenup, you brought that up, right? So if there's a divorce happens, right? Who takes the kids, who takes all these things, right? It's the woman, right? So it's like I was like, dang, how is in your eyes, how do you view a woman? Like, how do you get that term, like a piece of property? Like, how do you see that?
I mean, it doesn't always have to be like a prenups can be revised by your lawyers. You can set every single tiny little thing on there. It doesn't have to be half and half. It doesn't have to be all money. It doesn't have to be all property. It can be all kinds of things. You can change everything in there.
That love word. Do you love me enough to sign this paper? Or you love me enough to ask me to sign this paper?
See, there you go. That's a whole nother question. And I'm more, I mean, because you asked, I'm one like, yo, we don't gotta sign nothing. You know, I remember telling my wife the day we started dating. Again, I knew already, but for me, it was like it was up to what I know. We can get married today. Literally, that was the day we started dating. But everybody don't have that certainty, right? And so for me, it's like we don't need it. But for some others, I can understand it. Daph, you looking at me like you want to punch me. What's up, man?
No. I was looking at you because that's so cute. Like you said, that was the first day, and I was like, let's get married right now. Like, let's just go.
Every time I tell y'all that,
it
was the cutest story. And I promise y'all, it was not one of those lovey-dovey kind of things. It was legit, yo. All right. I know.
It's that spiritual connection. Right. That's like that person comes, you know.
Right.
You will know.
At all.
Right. So tired.
But Rod, you didn't need it though.
Didn't need
This
what?
dude. Man.
At the time, he may not know
just ignore him
until it was there. He didn't know he needed it until it was there.
No, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
So yeah, prenuptials, that's kind of iffy. I mean, if you feel like that person's not there for the right reasons, and it could be, like you said, it can always be updated if you feel like, okay, now I know this person's here for the right reasons. But if you want to marry me, why are you asking for this prenuptial?
You think that's a deal breaker if somebody asks for that?
Say that again?
You think it's a deal breaker if somebody asks for a prenup?
Not necessarily. It depends on what you're really there for.
Yeah.
What are you really there for?
and it could also depend on your current situation. I mean, because some people will get engaged and then it'll be 2 years before they actually get married. Mm-hmm. So that a lot can happen in that time. Somebody could pass away in that time, and then you've already made this commitment to be together in your life. So what happens if one of them dies, say 8 months later, and they haven't gotten married yet? What happens to all that? What happens to that commitment? Everything that was agreed upon in that commitment, property, family, all that. It needs, in that kind of situation, I could understand get a prenup.
Right.
So would that be a deal breaker for you, Daphne?
I don't.
You sign a prenup?
I don't think so. I mean, I can understand, needing the agreement, but also like I've never really thought into all of that just because like I'm 20 and like marriage just seems so far away from me. And earlier you were talking about like why divorce numbers or like why people weren't getting married, and I honestly think it's because of the generation. Just because like especially with social media and the internet, I can't just meet somebody and like have that connection, because then I'm just like, or you just go on freaking Instagram or anything and you're just like, okay, but now you have so many options and it's just like, now what do? You know what I'm saying?
Deshaun, you think the internet gives you more options? My goodness.
Yeah, it does. Because you got dating apps. You got dating apps. You have so much out here now. Sometimes it's scary.
He's talking about Grindr, everybody. That's what he's talking about.
Y'all, as y'all can see, we still enjoying.
Only time.
My goodness, man. My goodness. So
can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So look. So why do y'all think, right? It's different in every culture, right? Where in some cultures, in some ethnicities, that being married in your early 20s, maybe late teens, is like a thing where that's something that you do in your society, right? Versus like everywhere else where like, oh, we're 25, we like, nah, I'm not never get married, or you're 30, you like, I don't want to get married, and all these things. Like, why do y'all think that's like a thing? You know what I mean?
I think it's anything different among cultures. I mean, it's just how people are, how different cultures are. They come from different places, had different upbringings, and so they built different kind of traditions along the way.
But we sitting here talking about we got options on the internet.
Yeah.
Like what? Like what is it? Like I'm just saying, are we really?
That's a good term.
And you're also talking about going to Utah so you can have 3 wives. So
exactly, let them know.
Right. So there's options on the internet.
I don't need the internet if I got 3 wives at home. What am I saying here? Like, no, seriously.
Give you a harder time finding them 3 wives. I think that's the point they was making.
It might not be harder than you think. I'm just saying, right?
Okay, because Kat got game out here. That's what
man.
he's
Y'all know
saying.
how to look at the menu. Like, they got 50 things on the menu. I'm like, yo, I wish y'all had 3. Make this thing nice and easy for me. Right. Too much sometimes, man. Make you sit there.
I'm tell you something real personal for me. How sometimes it has to do with your upbringing, on how your thought process is when it comes to marriage relationships.
Mhm.
Because even with relationships with your parents, relationship with friends, relationship with people outside of family, because sometimes people say blood is thicker than water, but sometimes it's not. Right? Sometimes people that are outside of your family treat you better than the ones who are your blood
That's
relative.
right.
And then
That's
sometimes
true.
the things that you
Right.
see, the things that you hear, the things that you go through gives you that concept that maybe this isn't the right thing for me. So like for me personally, just the things I saw growing up, I was like, no, I don't want this. Because I didn't see too many marriages that were wonderful. It was like either it was something dealing with abuse,
We just
something
had bad
dealing with
examples.
control, something with possession. So things you see, you're like, this is not what you want to be a part of.
Right.
Then when I started having kids, I was like, I have such a negative connotation. I don't want to put that onto them. So I had to kind of rethink my process because I didn't want to put my thoughts onto them so they can see something different. But if that person doesn't come along, I don't want you to just jump into something just because. So sometimes your upbringing and what you see gives you that type of thought process on how you feel about marriage.
You know, that's really interesting because I have a similar experience with like the negative visual, but I had a different kind of response to it, man. I remember telling my mother one day about watching her patience, you know, in her marriage when somebody like me, man, I won't say this on camera, but I was ready to do some things to her husband. You know what I mean? But I watched her be patient. And I told her one day after I got married, I said, "Ma, I appreciate you riding it out the way you did because I learned that, and it's absolutely necessary in a marriage, man, to be patient because you obviously gonna go through some things that you're gonna go through. You know, being totally different. Me and my wife is like exact opposites." And so little things, you know, will irk her or irk me, just personality stuff, things I can't change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to be able to see that example of patience, even though the marriage wasn't great, to see that positive, I guess, trait, you know, her patience, I thought it was great for me.
Yeah. So just to give my final thought on all of it, it's always a decision, a personal decision. And even if you have personal things that's going on, like for me, if I find that person, I feel like they are like when that person comes, you're gonna know. But I'm not gonna just jump into it just because that's what people feel like you should do. So whatever fits you, that's what you go for. Just make sure you're in it for the right reasons. Number one thing, love.
Final thoughts, Liv.
What?
Why it always seems like I catch you off guard? Final thoughts.
I really don't have any. It pretty much just said it. It just depends on who you are and what you prefer.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, you still here?
No, Deshaun's got to research a better phone plan.
All right.
How you feeling, Daphne?
I feel like you wanted to say a whole lot more than what you said tonight. So you take your precious time giving your final thoughts.
Oh, thank you. But if I do that, y'all know I talk a lot and I'm loud. So we're gonna be here for like another hour. So
Go
I'll
with it.
just say a couple of things. Personally, for me, I think I also had like a very bad visual growing up. So and then with relationships nowadays in this generation, it's just not for me. I can't. Some of these people just no. But it's I don't know. Marriage is just scary to me. I hope one day I would like to get married. I just want to make sure I do find the right person because the last thing I want to do is get divorced, and many people go through that, and that's okay. But personally, me, like I just wouldn't want to experience that. But yeah, I mean, everybody, do what makes you happy, like Hunter said. So
It's all about being happy.
Hey, Sean, we coming back to you, man. Your final thoughts.
Okay.
Maybe we need to come back. Oh,
Sorry. My computer went out. I don't know what's going on with this thing. But my final thoughts about this topic here. I just think that like I agree with Daphne. Whatever makes you happy, go with it. If you feel like you don't need nobody, then that's fine. That's your that's your state. That's your point of view. That's your perspective. If you feel like I need this person in my life, that's your perspective. I just feel like it's whatever your heart, your flow, your vibe of your life. I would just say just let it lay where it lay. Let it lay where it lay.
Let it lay where it lay.
Right. That's my
all right, Uncle Kid.
All right, so I know I joked a lot, but on a serious note, if marriage is necessary or not, I think yes and no for a lot of reasons, but just a couple of reasons. Like it might be necessary for one if you might have kids, right? And you want to build something like you want to go against the grain from what you've seen. Like as I grew up, maybe some of y'all grew up, we didn't have good examples of marriages, right? And we want to do something totally different. We actually want to build a strong pyramid. You dig what I'm saying? So yes, in that sense, I think it's completely necessary, right? And no, it's not necessary if you want to do it for the wrong reasons, right? If you want to do it for financial, if you want to go on Grindr or Hinge or Find Love and all these other apps, and I don't think it's necessary. You know what I mean? But no, for real though, I think ultimately, if you view marriage as like as a sense of like love and being loved and giving love, right? Not that you need it or that you want it, but that it's a necessity to life. You know what I mean? So like. Yeah, that's my final thought.
Well, I'm just going to keep coming back to what makes you happy because in school, I mean, I'm learning there was a study that was this really big study, really interesting study with identical twins who were separated at birth and then reunited once they got older. And they all had to take the same test to like do these kind of different things to see what's tied to our genetics. And an overwhelming amount of what makes you happy, whether or not you were a happy person, is tied to your genetics. You have no control over it. But we do have a small percentage that we can control. So why not use that little bit we can to decide whether or not being in love with somebody for the rest of our lives, getting married and dying with them is going to be what will make us happy.
All right now, Hunter. That's good.
Whatever that is, don't worry. That's that's
right.
Fear, and that's the one thing that I pray that we don't, act out of our fear. Don't let this generation scare you. Don't let your history scare you, man. We're going to protect ourselves to a certain extent, man. But my hope is that we can be bold enough to be exactly what we want to be in love and life, whatever area, man, and just roll with it. And whatever comes with that, be ready to accept it. If it's hurt, fine. I'll shed my tears and I'll move forward, man. I'm not about pressure.
Yep.
So don't be afraid, y'all. Roll with it. What you want to do, be bold enough to do just that. All right?
Exactly. And Daphne, I am taking third wife applications. You can be
Oh, my word.
I can't even be the first. What you mean?
Number one. Number one.